Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Undersecretary Newland, thank you for testifying today. We are sitting here watching the most significant military conflict in Europe unfold since 1945, since the end of World War II. And I'm sorry to say that this war, I believe, is the direct result of repeated mistakes made by President Biden and the Biden administration. Two mistakes in particular. Number one, the disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan and surrender to the Taliban that emboldened our enemies across the globe. But then number two, with respect to Russia and Ukraine, very specific mistakes. You and I have talked at great length about Nord Stream 2. As you know, this committee and the Congress won a bipartisan victory stopping Nord Stream 2 in 2019. I authored that legislation. As a result, Putin was deterred from invading Ukraine. When Joe Biden became president, he came in bound and determined to surrender the Nord Stream 2 pipeline to Russia and Putin, notwithstanding the enormous risks that came from it. When President Biden surrendered to Putin on Nord Stream 2, waived the sanctions that had been passed by Congress, at that time, Ukraine told us, if you do this, Russia will invade Ukraine. At that time, Poland told us, if you do this, Russia will invade Ukraine. At that time, I told the administration, and others on this committee told the administration, if you do this, Russia will invade Ukraine. We will see tanks in the streets of Kiev. I wish those predictions had proven wrong. This weekend, all 100 senators were on a video conference call with President Zelensky from Ukraine. President Zelensky told us if the United States government had put sanctions in place last year on Nord Stream 2, Putin would not have invaded Ukraine. And yet the administration was bound and determined to continue surrendering to Russia, even as Russian troops massed on the border of Ukraine, so much so that the White House put political pressure and forced 44 Democrats to vote to support Russia and Putin just weeks before this invasion. Now, after the invasion, finally, once there were Russian troops invading Ukraine, finally then, the Biden administration was dragged kicking and screaming to implementing sanctions on Nord Stream 2. As soon as you did, Nord Stream 2 declared bankruptcy and fired its employees. Now, in my judgment, Putin does not believe any promise from Joe Biden to maintain sanctions on Nord Stream 2 is credible. I think Putin is gambling that when the crisis passes, the sanctions will be lifted and Nord Stream 2 will be turned on.